Take a big sigh of relief, Seahawk fans, because I don't know if you know this, an ugly win counts the same as a pretty win in the National Football League. This is not college football of the BCS era where you had to win and you had to win convincingly. You just have to win the football games nowadays for it to count in that win column. This is Seahawks Today. I am your host, Will Ortner, and we got a bunch of stuff to go through from the game. We're going to talk about the good and the bad. Unfortunately, we're not going to talk about anything ugly in that game, but I do need to let you know about where we're at with Dolphins today. You know that we've been trying to catch our Dolphins channel here at Chat Sports for basically the better part of the last month or so, just focusing in on what team we could catch up to, and we are closing the gap ever so quickly. We're going to call that 600 subscribers away from catching up to Dolphins today. Let's see if we can do that and be the first channel between the two of us to get to that 80K mark. Come on in, hit that sub button. We're going to be live for every Seahawks game against the 49ers and into the postseason you don't want to miss out on. So make sure you hit that sub button. Okay, so we are going to go through the good and the bad of this game, and because I'm a glass half full type of guy, I want to go through the good things that I noticed for the Seattle Seahawks first, because there are some positives to take away. This wasn't an all bad and then you pull it out at the end. There were some good things that happened in this football game that the Seahawks have to talk about. So, first, the rushing attack, I think it's complete. I think that we have figured out what this rushing attack is going to be, and it's not, we'll just ride the hot hand, and unfortunately the hot hand was going to get us 50 yards this week. I think that Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet have both shown that they're capable for having a triple digits yard number day, as well as be able to get into the end zone multiple times. Zach Charbonnet absolutely had a game in this one, over 100 yards for the first time this year, I believe. Kenneth Walker, now he didn't have as good of a performance as he did the week before, but he had gotten into the 100-yard mark. What is important to note about Zach Charbonnet, he's the first Seahawks running back to get double-digit rushing touchdowns in a season since Marshawn Lynch. So you have that power back, you have that speed back, and while neither one of them is going to jump off the page to you, it feels like at this point in the season, we know that this rushing attack is going to get 130-plus yards. Whether that's 65 and 65, an even split between the two, whether it's Kenneth Walker having a big day, so he gets more carries, he gets more yards, Zach Charbonnet having a big day, he gets more carries, he gets big yards. Whatever matters or whatever works, clearly Seattle is going to lean into it, and it doesn't feel like Kubiak is just spamming dive right, dive left anymore. It does feel like they are trying to get to the outsides, and the running backs are seeing the holes develop before they actually get there. It felt like there were a couple times early on in the season, Kenneth Walker would just hit a hole a second too late, or Zach Charbonnet would miss a hole hitting the A-gap on the front side when he should have been hitting the A-gap backside, right? It feels like these running backs have figured out what the offense is going to look like, and it takes time, and that offensive line has continued to get better. But this rushing attack has become formidable now for opposing defenses, and they have to commit extra guys to it. That leads to more open receivers in the pass game, and then it just works in a nice cycle together. So the rushing attack, I do think we are complete, and it is fixed. A.J. Barner. This is going to be a bold take. I believe that A.J. Barner, after his performance this week, his performance last week, and largely most of his performances that he has put on in 2025, is becoming an elite tight end in the National Football League. I'm not ready to say that he's an elite tight end, but there aren't many tight ends that you can go down the list of that you would say are outright better than A.J. Barner, and because of his youth, he's only going to get better. He's a complete tight end. Barner is a great blocker. He can block well in pass pro. He can block well in the run game. In the low red zone, he's clearly becoming a favorite target for Sam Darnold. He's continuing to get open when Seattle needs him to be open, and he converts in the end zone. He does a great job when he's asked to block in space, when he's asked to block against a guy who's bigger than him. When he has to run a route against a smaller guy, he goes up and mosses them. When he has to run a route against a bigger guy, he uses his speed to get away. A.J. Barner is becoming an elite tight end. I think it's too obvious to see. So much so that I'm yelling at you in this question. A.J. Barner, he's an elite tight end. Do you agree with me or do you disagree? Is A.J. Barner becoming an elite tight end? Becoming one of those, let's say, top 8 guys in the National Football League? I think so. I think when you look at the completeness of his game, he's right in that mark. And if he's not there this year, he'll be there very quickly. Agree or disagree down below in the comment section. Last thing that I wanted to talk about, Julian Love, he's back. He's back, man. He missed a lot of time this season with injuries. It took him a little bit once he came back from those injuries. It's not like he hit the ground running right away, and that's okay. I'm not asking him to do that. But it was fun to turn on the TV on a Sunday afternoon or mid-morning, depending on where you were watching this game, and watch Julian Love perform the way we know Julian Love can. He led this team in tackles. He did a fantastic job again in pass coverage. He gets an interception. That's the Julian Love experience. It's a complete game. It's a guy who's filling in when he needs to in the run game, who does a great job in pass coverage, and is just all around fantastic. It was great to see Julian Love be completely healthy and be ready to go by the time we need him the most coming into this 49ers game and then our playoff run. Now, unfortunately, we do have to get into the bad when it comes to the Seattle Seahawks, but before we do that, I need to let you know that this episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Prize Picks. It is the holiday season, the best time of year for sports. Bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes, it is all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there's one place where it feels good to be right. Prize Picks. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on any 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if your picks are right, you could cash in. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks is the best way to win cash this football season. Which players are going off, which ones are overhyped. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. Here was my 2-pick power play from the action yesterday. Bryce Young less on his pass yards. Sam Darnold more on his pass yards. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, let's talk about the bad, because there was some bad in this game as well, and that's why it was close in the first half. The turnovers, man, they have got to stop. And no, I'm not going to sit here and blame Sam Darnold 100% for both turnovers. One was a fumble, one was an interception. The fumble, there's going to be a bunch of different blame that goes around for that one. Sam Darnold probably should have felt that there was a rusher there. Abe Lucas should have blocked better. It's also an incredible play by that Panthers defensive end. The last turnover, the interception, that was on Sam Darnold. You cannot throw that football in a place that he did where Michael Jackson can go and make the play on it and box out the receiver. It's just a bad football. The Seahawks have got to turn over their turnovers. They've got to clean them up. No more turnovers. Fix it. I don't know how you do it, but it has to stop. It's another game where the Seahawks are turning the ball over. They're in the bottom of the NFL when it comes to turnovers. Find a way to keep the ball in your hands, because when Seattle turns the ball over, that gives opposing teams opportunities that they weren't previously going to have. It's an extra opportunity. And you can get away with that against the Panthers. You can get away with that against the Vikings. You can get away with that against some of the bad teams in the National Football League. You cannot get away with that when you're playing the 49ers, the Rams, the Eagles, the Bears. Those are things that cannot happen and should not happen anymore for the Seattle Seahawks. Find a way to keep the ball in your own possession. Stop turning the damn ball over. The bad. This isn't fair because I'm going to say it's coaching, but I'm more so talking specifically about the offensive coaching and the offensive game plan and play calling. And so everyone's kind of getting thrown under the coaching thing, as well as some of the clock management. I'm not saying that Mike McDonald is a bad coach. I'm not saying that Clint Kubiak is a bad coach. But the coaching has to fix whatever's going on when the Seahawks start games slow. It has to get cleaned up. Because right now, the slow starts are putting this team in a potential hole. They are putting this team in a position to where they can lose to teams that are inferior than them, or they're going to be in a struggle in a dogfight or down early to a team that they should be right neck and neck with. You can't rely on Rashid Shaheed to have a punt return or a kick return every single time that you need one to get your offense back up and running. We need to start games faster. And I throw that on the coaching. Yes, it's on the players for not executing, but it's also on the coaches for not setting themselves up in a position to where they can be as successful as possible. I'm not saying anyone is a bad coach. In fact, far from it. I think this coaching staff in Seattle is fantastic. But you have to fix the slow start issues because they refuse to right now, and it could end up costing the Seahawks later. How would you fix the slow starts for the Seahawks? I don't think there's a right answer or a wrong answer. Maybe you change the clocks. Maybe you come in with a couple more trick plays early on. Maybe you come in with a couple more basic plays that the Seahawks can do in their sleep. But these slow starts have got to stop. They cannot keep happening. Seahawks have to fix it. Let me know your opinion in the comment section below. Next and last, the bad is the injuries. Cody White had a tough injury in this one, but the big one that everyone's kind of thinking about is obviously Rashid Shaheed. When you look at the teams that win late in the postseason in the National Football League, it's the teams that stay the most healthy. And the Seahawks are not too beat up, but right now you have 3 key injuries. Charles Cross, he's missed your last 2 games with a hamstring injury. Coby Bryant injured his knee against the Rams, and he's going to miss some time. Rashid Shaheed, he's in the concussion protocol. Now, he may be able to come back against the 49ers. He may not be able to come back against the 49ers. We're not sure quite yet at this stage of the game. But what I will say is the Seahawks have got to stay healthy. This is a team that is capable of winning the big one. But to be able to do that, they need to stay healthy and at 110%. It is a war of attrition. And the team that is the healthiest at the end of the year will win the National Football League. I almost guarantee it. I don't want to say 100% because sometimes weird injuries happen where a good chunk of the crew is out and then the team just keeps winning. 49ers, I'm looking right at you. But Seattle needs to stay healthy. This team is at its best when they have everyone ready to go. This is not a team that's reliant on one superstar because they don't have a knock 'em dead, all out by themselves superstar. The closest thing you have to that is Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's very good, but the reason the Seahawks team is so good and have the number 1 seed in the NFC is because they all play together as one. They have to stay healthy. And if you are hurt, get in the cold tub, get in the training room, get your butt back out on the field because we need you. If we're going to go all the way, we need you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Look at how close we are to catching up to Dolphins today. We are, again, I'm claiming within 600. I'm not good at math. Don't pretend to know where we're at. We're pretty darn close. I see a 7 and a 1. That tells me we're within 600. 600 subscribers. We'll pass the Dolphins today. Let's be the first one that gets to 80K between the two of us. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next time.